Fletcher Rhoden, and this is Quotes and Quips. Today, words of wisdom from screenwriter Sir Peter Ustinov. Quotes and Quips is brought to you by my website, FletcherRhoden.com. There you can find links to such things as my authors page at Amazon.com. That's where you can buy my books in paperback or for Kindle or sometimes in audiobook format. There's also a link to my Spotify artists page where you can download my many albums in their various subgenres. I've got new music for 2024. Now you can download my albums from countless websites all over the internet. But at my website, FletcherRhoden.com, there's free music that you can only get there. So, check it out. Okay, well, today's quote comes to us from a film which I generally avoid on the show. But in this case, it's one of my favorite films and one of my favorite writers. The movie is Billy Budd from 1962. It is a film adaptation of a Herman Melville novella called Billy Budd for Topsmen. This epic film comes to us mostly courtesy of Sir Peter Ustinov, who then was simply called Peter Ustinov. He's a director, an actor, and a writer, at one time a UNICEF ambassador, I believe. Multi-talented Renaissance man. And in 1962, for the Disney Company, he directed and starred in and wrote the screenplay of and also produced this film adaptation, Billy Budd. It introduced the actor Terence Stamp, who went on to great fame in the 60s as kind of a sexy London sex figure, kind of. And of course, it was a great role for Robert Ryan, who had already had a long and sterling career in film, and his appearances include Bad Day at Black Rock and a bunch of other movies that he's great in. And of course, Peter Ustinov as Captain Veer. Now this story, Billy Budd, which is widely misinterpreted as a parable of homosexuality, even though it's not that, but it's widely misinterpreted as that. It's written by Melville, but Ustinov wrote the script. So I'm going to credit Ustinov with this quote, because I don't see it in the novella. And here's the quote. There are many ways to lie, but only one way to tell the truth. There are many ways to lie, but only one way to tell the truth. Now, again, a lot of these quotes don't really need very much dissection. They are as they appear. And this quote is so pithy and so beautiful and so symmetrical and supple and perfectly presented. In the context of the story, of course, Billy Budd is a retelling of the Passion of the Christ. Not the movie The Passion of the Christ, the actual Passion of the Christ, which is the trial, the arrest and the trial and the execution and the resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ, Jesus, as he is oft known. So this gives us a parable of that. We know that because Herman Melville was a devout Christian and not at all gay, and there was no gayness tolerated in the Navy at that time. You'd be keel-hauled for that. And that's just a modern interpretation that allows no understanding of the author's intent. The author's clearly retelling the story of the arrest of the Christ figure, who in this case is Billy, and Captain Veer represents Pontius Pilate, who must oversee a trial unwillingly, and Claggart represents the Pharisees, and the crew represent the disciples. So, and there's one who's more like Judas, and one that's more doubting. You know, there's one like Peter. It's interesting. So, this is what the story is about. And at one point, a great quote is, a witness at the trial says of Claggart, who represents the Pharisees. He says, "Lest his world be proven false, he planned Billy's death." I usually do two quotes in one thing, but lest his world be proven false, he planned Billy's death. Now, it was true also with the Pharisees that if the truth that this young man brought to Jerusalem on that week and with his campaign, if it were true, then they would be undone. Then their hold on the thought, on the impulse, their hold on the populace in its entirety would be lost. It's the truth which is the villainy for them. But Billy tells us there are many ways to lie, but only one way to tell the truth. Now, it also has other religious connotations. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. And the life, I should say. And there is, the line before this truth line is, "Truth, truth boy, isn't that the course by which you steer? Or am I wrong?" Claggart testing Billy. Trying to get Billy to reveal the corruption that Claggart assumes it must be there somewhere. But of course it is not. And the fact that Billy is pure does in fact prove Claggart's world false. And so Claggart does plot Billy's death. Now, there's lots of quotes that are comparable to this one. There's one in Glengarry Glen Ross, where Ricky Roma says to George, "Always tell the truth, George. It's the easiest thing to remember." But that, of course, is it's a cribbing of a quote by Mark Twain, who said, "Always tell the truth because you'll have less to remember." So, these quotes do get kind of convoluted. Sorry about that. But this one does echo with a timeless truth. And that is, the truth is timeless. That there are many ways to lie, but only one way to tell the truth. So, there's something to think about until next time. Monday at noon, when I'll be back with another Quotes and Quips. Until then, you can watch reruns on this YouTube channel. You can check out my other show, Tracking the Lone Wolf, on a YouTube channel of the same name. Buy my books, check out my music. There is free music at the website. So, enjoy it all. Tune in again. Until then, bye, Mary.